There's only one way to crush the massive GOP corruption of our government. Nothing's off the table. Go after every Republican power center that they've corrupted, starting with the Supreme Court.
Since 1969, Democratic presidents have appointed just 4 Supreme Court justices, while Republicans have appointed 16.
The court was arguably stolen in 2016 because President Obama had an open vacancy to fill, and the Senate would not let him fill that vacancy.
Mitch McConnell made up new rules so that Republicans could hijack America's Supreme Court, turning it into an extremist 6-3 conservative supermajority.
Republican justice nominated by an impeached president who lost the popular vote by 3 million after Obama's pick couldn't even get a vote.
I was in charge of what we did the last 2 years of the Obama administration.
It's an extremely conservative court going back 25 years. Just Roberts himself, at his confirmation hearing, he was asked, is Roe v. Wade settled law? And he said, that's settled law. He's voted against women's rights 100% of the time. Even before the court was arguably stolen, the court has been behaving in very partisan ways.
McConnell has already said he'll block Joe Biden's potential Supreme Court nominee in 2024 if Republicans win back the Senate.
The court itself has been implicated in the compromising of democracy.
For decades, the Republican Party has been chipping away at the foundation of our democracy. They use broken rules like the filibuster and the Electoral College to control the White House and Congress, even when they win fewer votes.
The court has arguably allowed the Republican Party to consolidate minority rule by, for example, allowing unlimited dark money to flood our politics.
This radical court opened floodgates for corporations to spend unlimited sums of money to buy our elections.
Citizens United destroying campaign finance, the decisions that go back a generation. By dismantling the Voting Rights Act, the court is frankly a shill for GOP donors.
The only real solution now is to expand the Supreme Court.
That is our constitutional prerogative.
The Constitution gives Congress the authority to change the size of the Supreme Court, and Congress has used that authority 7 times before.
Congress has already changed the size of the Supreme Court 7 times before.
The Republican Judicial Reform Organization wrote a paper urging court expansion a couple of years ago when they thought they would need to expand the courts in order to preserve their control over it.
Expansion is actually the only way to rebalance the court after Republicans stole 2 seats and undermined the legitimacy of the court.
We absolutely must dilute the power of this court, and we can only do that through legislation. We need to rebalance it. The size of our country has grown enormously, and we haven't added to the court anyhow since 1837. It needs to have more justices. It needs to have ones that haven't been bought off by billionaires, who aren't right-wing lunatics from religious extremist organizations, who've fairly been put on the court and not denied their chance to go on the court by Mitch McConnell. And the only way we're going to do that is to have a 1930 or 32 or 34 style absolute massacre of Republicans at the polls. We need to destroy them. We had a big election in 2022 and that was awesome, but 2024 needs to be even bigger. We need to increase our number of senators. We need to take back the House, and we need to pass filibuster reform.
If they don't get rid of the filibuster, they'll never be able to pass any laws, including a court expansion bill.
I.e. get rid of that stupid rule that never existed in the Constitution. We need to also add Puerto Rico and D.C. and U.S. Virgin Islands, if they want, as states to rebalance the Senate chamber.
Offering statehood to D.C. and Puerto Rico, allowing immediate citizenship for law-abiding immigrants, providing automatic right to vote. The Brennan Center says that if you do that, you add 40 million voters to the rolls.
That is what will allow us to permanently rebalance the court. 13 justices and add real justices who are honest. I may not agree with all of them and everything, but really interpret our laws and sit there and try to do what's best for our country and not for their billionaire friends. We need a huge 1934 blowout style election. Get rid of the filibuster, undo gerrymandering, add some states for the Senate, and really get our democracy back to its equilibrium. Anything less than that, guys, we're in the process of losing our democracy to these guys on this court.